What is going on, everyone? Matthew97657 here, and today we are back with yet another figure unboxing and review. And as the title and thumbnail suggests, this is going to be the SH Monsterarts Mechagodzilla 2021 Final Battle Edition. So with that being said, nothing more to it. Then they get on right on into it. But you know the deal, we're going to look at the box real fast. Ta-da! Pretty cool. Got a lot of dark colors going on here, a lot of red kind of with the cloud effect going on, and you know, kind of just your standard Monsterarts box nowadays. They've kind of done away with the translucency plastics. Not entirely, but for the most part they have. There you go. It says Mechagodzilla from the film, Final Battle Edition. There is the backside with a couple of showcase photos, accessories, and just kind of the fun stuff you can do with this figure. Side of the box with a promotional image. Top of the box, which is just the title, and then bottom of the box there. So let's go ahead and just move into it. And this one, I will say, is, I'm excited. I'm very excited to see the retool. If this is a retool, if we can call it that. Obviously, it is the second edition for Mechagodzilla 2021. Here is our instruction manuals. We have a lot of little accessories, so thankfully they gave us an actual instruction manual. I really like the physical ones compared to the QR codes. Anyways, hopefully there's no more tape because I just threw away the knife. Whoa. So yeah, this is pretty wide. It's got a lot of stuff going on. Just to showcase the, what are these things called? Accessories. I kept seeing articulation. We have the beam effect, a couple of like thrusters with the flame effects for the thrusters, a stand, I guess if you want to make it stand. There is the tail fully condensed to make it into more of like a piercing tail, and then the plasma effects for the fist, which are awesome. So we'll set that down as we get into the main figure here. Goodbye, Mr. Plastic. It looks like we have the two little hand effects for the closed hand effects, or like the grabbing, and then here it is. So I'm gonna set it down right there just for y'all to see. Don't fall over. Okay, it's gonna fall. All right, let's give it some support. So yeah, that should be everything from there. And ta-da, let me scoot forward. Let me get locked in real quick. Here it is. This is the SH Monsterarts Mechagodzilla 2021 Final Battle Edition. And you know, what is the difference? First off, from the original release, you can see the highlighted kind of like red paint applications within the inner portions of the mech itself, which is cool. You have some on the tail as well, going all the way down there. Those little red paint apps. Pretty much Mechagodzilla, whenever it gets the energy, if I recall correctly, right? It's been a while since I've seen the 2021 film, but this is pretty much whenever as it says, the final battle begins, and Mechagodzilla's glowing red. And then you also got a little bit of a eye paint app, and to no surprise, there should be the cannon. There it is, glowing cannon. There is a chest there. You can see some red. I like the red on the rib cage area. I really like that. It's going through the neck, rib cage area. Oh, tail fell off already. It's coming out on this area. The paint application itself is darker, in my opinion. Like the gunmetal is a darker coloration compared to the standard release. And yeah, don't know how I feel about that. But looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool so far. You know, it is, I think it's the same mold, which it should have the whole piston problem that people were notating about. So I don't think I ever had too much of an issue with the pistons. I think I usually just took them out just so I didn't risk breaking them. But the detail, you know, not bad. I really do like it. I really like the red. It really just makes it pop, which is very, very nice. So standard mold, and don't worry, we do have the original figure to compare with it shortly after we go through everything. So starting off with articulation here, let's go ahead and start with the head. Not really getting a lot there. We can look down with the extra supports of the neck piece here. So without that, the head's come down there. This neck piece can rotate, as well as this one, which can, I don't want to go all the way around. It's kind of got some resistance to it, so I don't really like it. It's got these shoulder pad effect pieces, which just kind of come up and down in terms of that. The arm itself doesn't go up too high because of the shoulder pad effect piece, but you can rotate the arms outward. And then, can we go around? Yeah, there we go. So if we lift this up, we can go all the way around, which is just, it feels so like risky because there's a lot of like small little mechanical pieces to these type of figures. There's the arm straight out. I cannot get a full rotation there, and I cannot get a full rotation there. So it looks like we're limited to just this here, but we can come inwards. Not too crazily though. It looks like that's really about it for coming inwards. So let's go ahead and let's see, where did it go wrong here? There it is. Come on. Come on. Well, I guess if you want to see the full motion, there is this joint right within here, like right within there. And that itself can give a little bit of that like rotating type of deal. I feel like I'm a little stuck here though. And you do not want to do a lot of force on these figures, especially this one, because I think it's, you know, things can come off, and obviously we do not want that at all by any means. But let's just move on to the hand. So they do have that still, or it's just kind of like two little pieces connected together. Oh, please, come on, not now. Okay, so it can rotate. Obviously these cannot close, but you can't take them off. I really wonder why they designed it like that if you weren't even going to be able to close them. I have no idea. In my opinion, I would have just rather assumed that it would have just been set like that. But you can rotate it kind of like a standard hand motion. Moving on here towards the abs or abdomen area. No ab crunch allowed. Nothing on that. You cannot make it come in or out. You're mainly getting a lot of articulations by moving the body through its legs and the upper body portion. So, however, I will try not to miss these pups on there. That's where the missiles can fire, so you can like flip them up and down, which is very, very nice. Cool attention to detail, which is always fun to have on these type of figures. And then, all right, so we're moving on toward the lower body here, which does have that little piston area. So, you know, it might be limited. They might pop out. If they pop out, they pop out. We're not going to worry about it. So moving here, you can kind of kick out and kick back in, out, in. You hear little clicks when you do it. In terms of moving the leg, I'm getting a lot of resistance. So moving it up, a lot. Probably because this piece right here is blocking it, so you can't really move it too crazily. But moving towards the lower leg piece, you can see the pistons come up and down, and I think it just popped out, which is, like I said, not a problem. So I'm going to try to just bring it back in a little bit. And yeah, so there is that. A lot of technical moving pieces, some form of metal piece here, and did not know that was a thing. And then moving on to the foot, you can come up and down, and you cannot really go that much around, if I'm being honest. I'm getting a lot of resistance on that. Maybe if I lift that up, no. So just up and down. Not too crazy in terms of the articulation, in my honest opinion. Ooh, come on. I feel like I'm just working with it. I'm working against it. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's bring these down. So I will admit, limited for this type of, you know, these figures, it is limited. But moving to the tail here, oh my goodness. Of course, moving to the tail here, we do have, you know, segmented articulations for each kind of moment in the tail. You know, I know I should not set it down like that, but I kind of just want to showcase this here. So like there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8, there's 9, there's 10, there's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I would say just about like 17, because this piece is all one. It's not movable on that end. So I'd say about 18 joints, I guess 19 if you count this piece of the tail. 18 joints for the articulation. And then looking at the tail there, you cannot rotate it, which is a little bit surprising. Obviously, you cannot take it out. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of things telling me not to do that. So it's just a standard effect piece. But, you know, to my knowledge, I want to say this is, you know, it's just the basic molds that we had got. I guess if you want to see, there is a ball joint for the hand effect. I was trying to move this inward to get a little bit creative, but I feel very limited on what is happening here. And now the tail's gone. This is... I'm just having a little bit of trouble here, but it's no worry at all. So yeah, obviously it is pretty limited just because of the design, which is rather a shame, but I'm sure you can still get a lot of cool stuff out of it. There is a tail, I found it, so I'll get that shortly. So what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna go over the instructions, read them up, and then I will actually just see how those move in motion. So far, you know, it's not bad. I really do like the design. I was not initially in favor of the design whenever I first saw it, but it definitely did grow on me, so I will give it that. The articulation is giving me a little bit of trouble, which I guess is to be expected, but who knows? Maybe it'll swing around. It's a shame that the tail cannot stand on its own, though. Maybe it's mine, maybe it's everyone's, but who knows? So we'll go ahead and move on to the accessories portions. Here we go. All right, so we have returned here with a couple of the accessories, and pretty cool. Got to admit, I really do like the accessory bundle that they did here. Obviously, we do have the kind of like plasma fist punch effect, and the way you get that is you pretty much just take off the actual hand, and then you can input it into the ball joint, just as we accidentally had found. So very cool. Obviously, you can do it for both, but I just kind of wanted to do one at a time. A very simple effect piece that I think brings a lot to it. I think it's fun in that regard. Secondly, I did miss this one here. This little effect cannon piece, very small, but you know, there's a lot of detail. I will say, I don't know why, I guess my figure is just extremely front heavy. I know I keep, you know, doing these intricate poses, but I feel like it just wants to keep falling forward, which is just a smidge annoying. Outside of that, we do have the thrusters, the jet thruster pieces, which are very cool. I will admit, I gotta say, I think this is the first time they've done something like this, and recently, because I didn't do it for Mogera, they didn't do it for Mechagodzilla 2. I don't think they've even done it for Kiryu, but the effect thruster pieces are very cool. I will give them that. And the way you simply do that, if I can just bring this down, there is this like shoulder piece right here. You want to go ahead and just lift it up gently, and from there you kind of have to dig your nail into this like abdomen, side abdomen piece, because what you're going to want to do is, come on, there we go. So you want to kind of get your nail under there. It's a little difficult, but then you want to bring it out. So you like, it's like that, and you want to bring it out. And you do see those three little prongs there. That's where these little metallic pieces come in. All you do is just simply, you know, add one in. It's not a click. It's a very, very soft insert. So you put that there, and then you just attach the flame effect, and it's that simple. So I really do like that too. Very simple, besides getting to the ribcage area, which I guess can be a little tricky, but nothing to complain about. So really like it, you know, just to patch it up, you know, you have it open like that, and then you just bring it in, and yeah, and then you can set that back down. So which is very cool. I really do like that. So yeah, pretty darn cool if you want my honest opinion. I really do like the accessory sets. I guess the one thing I did forget is the, now what did they call it? I forgot. Proton beam? I think it's called proton beam, if I recall correctly. Pretty standard beam effects. Obviously you do get the stand, which is nice, because I don't think you can insert it. Maybe you can. It doesn't really seem like it wants to insert. It's not really that deep of a peg for it. But you do have the proton scream. That's what it's called. You do have the proton scream here, which it's, you know, pretty red. In the light translucency, it kind of gives off more of a pink coloration. But for the most part, it is a red. And then you do kind of have some white highlights of, I guess, just concentration. I guess that's what they're going for. On the end of the beam, and then the insert is at the very kind of front portion of it. But yeah, pretty cool. I'm not really a beam effects type of guy. I kind of prefer the stuff that just attaches on. Not to say the beams aren't necessary, because I think they are. Oh, wow. I actually do like the detailing too. I didn't showcase this one off well enough, but you can see some kind of like disfigurements in the beam, just kind of like a raw, pure form of energy, kind of like spazzing out as it's being shot, which I think is pretty cool. But I'm not really too much of a beam accessory guy. Like, I'll probably have it showcased like this, which I think I just prefer for shelf space. But obviously the beam effect is always welcome. Lastly, we do have the spinner tail, which is as simple as just taking off the other tail, which just naturally happens, and attaching it there. It's super simple, not hard to do, and obviously you can kind of get a little bit of a fun spin effect, which is cool. You know, like in the final scene, or he's threatening Kong with the tail. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm very, very impressed with the accessories. You know, there's always the argument to be made that, you know, it should have just been like the standard release. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do it. But before we move on to our comparisons, I just wanted to showcase this other hand, which is more of like a grasp. And yeah, it's nothing too crazy. I think it was like the same type of dealio in the original release, which is cool to see. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to some comparisons. I have Godzilla, the other Mechagodzilla, and Kong, you know, from the movie. And with that, we'll wrap it up. So here we go. All right, so we do have the final battle version of the Mechagodzilla, as well as the standard SH Monsterarts release back in 2021 or 2022, whenever they released it. But main difference is going to be the color. Obviously, you know, when you have them side to side, the final battle one does have a lot more of that like shinier gunmetal compared to the standard release, and you know, it does have the kind of red highlights in the like divots of the Mechagodzilla design, which, you know, obviously is very, very much better. I will say though, look, my final battle one cannot do tail standing for whatever reason. Rather unfortunate. So the standard one, mine can, but it's a pretty big shame in my opinion, because the tail flexibility is really, really cool on the figure itself. So if there's a way I can fix that, let me know. I'll try to figure out myself if not. But yeah, you know, same height, same stuff. I think, you know, the glossier version obviously does look better in my honest opinion. I do like the red metal eye on that. I mean, it is here too, but it's just a little bit darker on the final battle version. But I think the red pops out a little bit more here. And yeah, so that is pretty much it for the comparisons between the two. You know, the same form of articulation and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and set that down very gently, because that is a very delicate one. We'll go ahead and move on to the 2021 Monsterarts Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. And, you know, same type of dealio. Mechagodzilla looks really, really beefier here in terms of, you know, the comparison. But I'd say it's probably about there, right? Obviously, I think Mechagodzilla was bigger than Godzilla in the movie. So it's not too bad. I think maybe this Godzilla maybe just needs a little bit more bulk, because this was before it went to evolved mode. But, you know, not bad, I will say. And last but not least, we do have our Kong. This is the event exclusive one with the broken head, which, you know, I probably should have gotten out, but just for a size comparison, Kong is just, it feels so much like smaller and delicate compared to these bulky behemoths. But yeah, that is about it for the comparisons, if you will. If you want the kind of like tail slash, you can. I feel like it's so front heavy. I maybe it's the way I have it posed. But you can go for the tail slash if you like. I think this is one of these figures where it's like, it's got a lot of untapped potential. I mean, potentially, I could be incorrect on that. I think if you can really go in there and learn the intricacies and get it to articulate in a really cool way, very cool. I think, you know, to kind of go for that like deep emotion, it's there. Like you can kind of go for a running. Like, I think it's the pistons here that are holding it back, which it does look cool, don't get me wrong, but I think it's holding it back in terms of some articulation. But if you kind of wanted to get like a cool running effect whenever they finally see one another, you can totally do that, which is something like that. It's a shame you can't look up as much, but it is what it is. So lastly, the one last thing I'll do, don't fall forward, please. I feel like I have to prep it for it to not fall forward. One last thing I will do just for the fun of it, if I have enough room, is our fun little beam clash between the two. I have to get this almost off the edge. Don't fall, please don't fall. Yeah, this is, I mean, if you have like just these two figures, I think this looks beautiful, but you know, I don't have just these two, so there we go. That's as good as we're gonna get it, considering the length of my table. But yeah, you know, this is, if you want to go higher, you probably could, but I'm gonna push this to the side, go there. I know that there's a little bit of an angle in the actual film. Mechagodzilla is, I think, a little bit taller, shooting down towards Godzilla, but you can totally do a beam clash just like the movie, which is super cool in my opinion. But yeah, that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for the SH Monsterarts Bandai Mechagodzilla 2021 Final Battle version. Let me know what you guys thought. You know, I think in design with the red, it's super cool. I love the amount of accessories you get with it. A lot of different flexibility what you can go for, you know, with the plasma fist or the proton scream, or just, you know, the jet thrusters moving extremely fast. You have the tail piece, which can recreate, you know, when Kong is holding back against the tail. So there's a lot of cool accessories they really did implement onto the figure. You know, maybe, well, I guess technically they did retool it because the abdomen portion, I don't think existed on this one, where you can, yeah, this part doesn't lift up, that shoulder piece, it doesn't lift up, so you can't put those thrusters in. So, you know, obviously this is the definitive version. I think if, you know, you held out for the moment, I think if you want to go for it, this is your shot. It's got a lot of detail, you know, it does have limited articulation, which I will say, because it's kind of like there. It's like that, and you only get like 2 pieces of articulation, 2 to 3 within the lower body, excluding the tail. So I'd say that's probably my only real complaint with it, but you know, in design, on a shelf, in a cool pose, I think it looks really cool. So yeah, I gotta say, you know, it's got its positives, it's got its negatives, so I'd say it's right in the middle. So hopefully this review kind of helped you out, and let me know what you guys think. You know, Haya Toys, I don't think they've made a Mechagodzilla yet. I thought they teased one, but maybe it's just genuinely such a hard design to get to a very articulatable state. Maybe that's just the way it is in terms of this design. But I'm interested to see how Haya tackles the Mechagodzilla 2021, if they are doing that. I think they are, though. They just made a post a while ago that they were. Could be incorrect. But I'd like to see how they do it, but I gotta say this one is pretty cool. Probably, as of right now, the definitive articulatable Mechagodzilla, you know, compared to the first release, which not bad, but just not nearly as good as this one here. So with that being said, once again, and lastly, let me know what you guys thought of the SH Monsterarts Bandai SH Monster. I've done so many Kamen Rider videos, I keep saying Bandai now. The SH Monsterarts Mechagodzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong Final Battle version. With that being said, let me know what you guys thought, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!